basement. You never did get up on the first floor. You were in the basement. That's where you stayed. And that was people who worked for people out there. You had to have some clout some way or another to get in there, because they were taking too many blacks. You got to have, yeah. It's one of those things. And even the police was very ugly. How they would come when you would call them if you are fortunate enough to have a telephone. In our early days, we didn't have a telephone. We had to use Mr. Isaac, Mr. Chapman, and Mr. Reverend and Mrs. Murray's phone until we got able enough to have a phone. But when they used to have those fights and all, you know what the police say? Oh, we'll come back. Just let them fight it out. One or the other kill one another. We'll be less one nigger. Back in their cars, they would tootle off. They said that in St. John's when my brother called them people out there didn't want to see a nice car, a Negro driving a nice car. And we went out there to see my auntie. And these kids across the street just gonna start, we're gonna tear up this car. So they started throwing rocks. They hit the car and they made a dent. So we called the police. Big mistake.
Let me stop you right there because it's famous.
Come on down with the year you came from. And if you don't know where you came from, you sure don't know where you're going. You got to have something view in mind. Someone instilled in you years ago of what you should make or what you want to do in life. What kind of citizen, it was installed. It was just instilled in every. It's just like an installment plan. You start out at the first grade and you grade and you move on. So this is what I want the people to know, because it's a lot of offsprings, it's a lot of relatives out there. I don't know you, and you don't know me. But they packed up and left. So that meant vacancies. And then we fought everybody from the MOPAC. Each one was selling out right and left. They didn't have any other choice, so they thought. But if we had sat and stuck together, all of those people could have been still right here in Clarksville. Because, see, I guess I was a fighter. But I told them I wasn't going. And that's when we started fighting with the city and everybody. And the city didn't back us up like they were supposed to have backed us up. And with our cooperation, I went all over town, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm way out south, north, Blackland, over, trying to find homes and houses for those people who were going to be displaced up there, which they weren't displaced. But they were told that, and how did they know? But we couldn't get any other facts from the city until after it was all over. And this is when I figured out that lady didn't work for the city at all. She came out here, her name was Mitchell. You couldn't find one down there. If you had a magnifying glass, if you had anybody, a fortune teller, wasn't no such person.
Who do you think she worked for?
Well, I'd rather not say, but I think it was some part of the plans for the MOPAC to wipe us out.
So is this a push from speculative developers, or is this a push from the federal government with the highway planning, or?
Highway planning and development, yeah. The reason why I think so, The one that helped me that worked for the highway department, he was so helpful when he seen that I wasn't going anyplace. And every time he'd look up, he'd be in some one of these houses. I'd just walk up and walk in. And one day I was down here on West 11th or West 10th. Anyhow, I just opened the door and walked in. And he says, "My, they just let you go every place." I said, "Yep." And all. I say, "I'll go where I think I'm wanted and needed." And I think he liked me from then on. And he asked me, "Are you ready to sell?" I said, "No," and I hope that's what I'm here now for. What are you trying to sell them? They don't have to move. What kind of price are you offering? And then we'd have to go all the way to city council to find out what person had sold. And they were too afraid to tell us what person had sold out, and the person was afraid to tell us. And we fought this months, but it didn't work because some of the people that was supposed to have been moved out, they didn't. Of course, I got caught up in it because all of my neighbors didn't tell me, and I was left up there with my babies all alone. I was the only house up there. Only house. Sitting at 1905 West 11th. And I'll tell you, someone set my house afire after I finally found a place. Nobody would help me find a place. I was all over here in the infield, all over here. They'd see us coming. They grabbed that for sale. Else,
They grabbed it for sale signs because why?
oh, black. I was black. So we had a little lawyer here. So we started going together. Two of us would show up, and they sure didn't want that. That was a mixed couple. Oh, no, my God. And they would bar that door. They wouldn't say nothing, you know. It's not for sale. It's been sold or whatever. Just get out from here, you know. And my mother went to California, and this was a vacant lot here, and talked with the Taylor family. And negotiation, and I knew one of the relatives, he stayed over on the east side. I went over there and told Richard, "No, I don't want to sell." And his wife said, "Now, what are you going to do with that property out there? That property out there been sitting out there and you haven't did anything. Now, why don't you sell it to Pauline?" So finally got around to buying the property. Now I needed a builder. So I had to go clear to Round Rock. Now this wasn't what I wanted, but this was all I could afford. Because the city didn't give me the $6,000. I'm sitting up there with a 9-room house and land from 11th Street, halfway 10th Street, with fruit trees, allied fence, everything. And that's what they gave me. Told me, "Well, you can go through condemnation." I did, stupidly. Those fuddy-duds sat there and gave me $84, a waste of my time. And nobody else, the state, the guy I was telling you about acting, he says, "I'll tell you what, when you get ready to move, I'll try to help you all I possibly can for your move." Okay, nobody wanted to sell me land. No, I didn't have any other place to go, but I couldn't leave my mother, my father, my auntie. I wasn't going to leave them. So, St. Luke's pastor, Reverend Heath, I went up there and I talked with them because they knew me. And he talked with the bank, Austin National on Congress. And that's where I got the money. After getting the land, getting the money to build this house. And I didn't understand how we was all going to get in here on a, not moving from a 9-room house that I could run you to death through that house, you know. I didn't have to lock the doors. If you didn't know where to turn, you were in trouble, you know. To move here to a smaller home. And when I walked in the Austin National Bank, everybody knew who I was. And of course, then you know where they told me to go. To the basement. You can't do business, go to the basement. And I asked the guy, he says, your payments will be $70 a month. Can you believe this, folks? $70 a month. Now, ma'am, I'm going to tell you, you can pay more than 70, but don't fall behind and not pay that 70. Always pay the $70. If you can't pay it, you better come down to us quick. That meant they could foreclose just like that. So every 15 cents I would get beyond that $70, I would pay. Then everybody in the neighborhood got mad. All of them got so mad. I was told I would never finish paying for this home. My kinfolks and everybody else. And there I was coming. I was the spokesman, did all the talking, got them all all worked up. And I was the one came out with the house, a new house, and had bought land and everything. So it got to where it was sort of heavy on me from your own people to turn against you for something they knew not what it was.
They were upset because why?
They thought I had did something dishonest by acquiring the land and a new house. And none of them, got it. But I fought for mine all the way. Every step of the way. Then this is when the cooperation, they were saying money was missing. It wasn't any money missing. Wasn't any money because what? I was president. Baby, I can't get my hands on that money if I wanted to. That money's in the bank and you got a secretary and a treasurer there. Where every time you turned around, I was to blame. So, it went on like that. So I said, I think I'm going to retire. And I did. Sometimes I think I should have stayed on, but retirement was the best for me.
You were the president of the CDC?
Yes. CCDC, yeah.
Clarksville Community Development Corporation.
Yes. I was a person between Bobby Wisely and I for years. You only could stay on 2 years, so we would alternate. He would go off and I would come on. I would just alternate, so it wouldn't, yeah. And Mary Baylor was the director. And this is when things got all haywire. And it's still the same right now. I don't have some people won't even speak to me. All up moved in on us.
You have to,
Yeah, well, wait a minute.
Say that
yeah.
again? Yeah.
are we back on?
Yeah, we
Okay.
are. And I'm gonna,
And this is when things got all haywire. And it's still the same right now. I don't have some people won't even speak to me. All up moved in on us.
you have to, would
Yeah,
you
well,
mind
wait a
just
minute,
say that
yeah.
again? Yeah.
Oh, are we back on?
Yeah, we
Okay.
are. And I'm gonna, adjust this light because the sun's moving on me. Let me
Okay.
put something.
You'll love to see Clarksville say, we were here, we've been there, and we want to live on in the hearts of those who was there with us. The future is very hard at this time to pinpoint one thing. With everything like it is now, the war, the economy, and who knows? But there's certain things at this time we could stop if we would have the backing of the city. I just don't. It seems that people and things are so easily forgotten. This is the reason why I want to leave something for people to hold on to about Clarksville. A beautiful, loving neighborhood that these people out here would pull their shirts off of their backs to help you, regardless of race, creed, or color, to be forgotten. And no one is here to help us like the oldsters helped one another. And all of us oldsters are going off the scene. It should be somebody, younger generation, to step up to the bat. I want to instill their values of life. If there's any way that I could do that and can do that. Because history is made every day one way or the other. But let it be your history that's being made. It is such a pity. And I'm going to tell you, it hurts. It hurts me so bad to see all of these houses that was once black. And a black person can't even afford any of them anymore. 500,000 and all of this. It hurts. Just like the house right there. If I had had the money, that house is not supposed to be there. 12.5 sitting under that house belongs to me. 12.5 feet. It's 50 feet there. 25 went to the Lawson and 25 came to me, the Brown. But I couldn't fight those big time lawyers. Not Betty Baker. Of the city. I had to let it go without any help from any of my black people out here in the neighborhood. Yeah, she got central heat. Hey, they offered it with the house. No. It's It's been an uphill battle for me. I'm up and I'm down. I've had so many letdowns, so many hurts, confused people to pass me by. Until sometimes I just want to give up, period. But I can't. I'm just not that type. But one thing I can tell anybody, I've did the best of my ability, and I sure tried to live a Christian in a right and wrong life in this world. I don't want anybody harming one another, and I don't want to harm them, and I don't want them to harm me. I just want to live peaceable, you know. That's the reason why I can get along with all my neighbors. I'm black and they're white. But they all have respect for me. They say, Mrs. Brown. You go talk to Mrs. Brown. And anybody move in the neighborhood to say, that's Mrs. Brown. There. If you need any help looking after your house, that's who you call on. It's Mrs. Brown. So, it's been I can't say my life has not been wonderful. But I know so many people who can't say that. And I think I've had a wonderful life. Out of all the hardships that I've had along the way, the Lord has been on my side.
You've made a huge difference.
Oh, the Lord has been on my side. It's remarkable. And I can't say it's none of 2 or 3 things in life that I would love to do. And one would be to visit 1 or 2 places that I would love to see. Yeah.
In terms of how it started, what it's been, how it's been now, and how, for me, just when you talked to me, when you were having that meeting about no building taller than the church,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For me, if there's a hope of kind of how it began and community and how you've seen it, what you fought for, that stands at the center of it. But I don't. That's my view, but I don't know what your view is.
Well, the church is the center of the community. It's the really foundation, like they all came together to build that church. And even the land didn't cost but $100 back there.
Oh, do you mind, we should move that napkin.
Oh, that napkin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You got in the way.
And you just want to, you're saying that the church is the heart of the community.
Yes. Like I said, the church is the heart of the community. Mostly every person, every family has always been church goers. Way back when the church originated, that was back in 1871 or so. Way back when the church originated, that was back in 1871 or so. They had their first meeting in Mrs. Smith's home. And they went on to purchase the land like it was $50 or $100 for that whole big lot at that time. And they had a first meeting like the church meeting. It was under like a arbor, which was donated and used by the church by a dairy that was not too far from here, by West Lynn or something. And then they built the church with the help of carpenters and Mr. Deacon W.S. Edmondson. He was director of the choir and his wife played the piano. So they organized and they started having church, and then everybody sort of moved up. And it seems that 2 or 3 of the members had moved east and wanted to start a church over there because they was coming from over there here back to Clarksville. So they had a First Baptist church to form on the east side. So, but we didn't lose too many members. And Sweet Home just kept growing. And with the little houses, like whole fine houses that they build up on Wesley End. And there was Mr. Becker buying and putting up these little houses. And Mr. Bush was doing the survey of the houses. And everything seemed to be, working pretty good for the neighborhood. And like I say, when anything happened to the corporation, the church is involved because the people that worked with the corporation are the church members, So anything that happened in the neighborhood, it affected the church, and it still does, It's still that way right now. Now, we've had a lot of pastors to come and go from Sweet Home. But the last pastor was Reverend W.B. Sutherland. And the associate pastor was Reverend Harris Carrington, who is one of the Clarksville residents in the 1871, which is a relative of mine and the Allens. He's connected with a lot of families out here. And they were ran the church for about 30 some odd years. And when we lost Reverend Carrington, Reverend Sutherland wasn't too far behind in we losing him. And the church is right now trying to rebuild and restructure itself out of being on the same pattern for so many years. You need to have refreshing. You need to be refurbishing things, And this is what we are trying to do at this point. We do have a new pastor, a young pastor.
Whenever you feel it's right.
We on? Something within me that holdeth the rain something within me that banish all pain. Something within me I cannot explain. Oh, I know there is something within.
Beautiful. Very beautiful.
Thank you.
What a holy afternoon.
Thank you. This has been great.
Thank you. I'm real glad that Andy helped us capture
And,
this.
I am very grateful and thankful
Sure. And
to
what
you.
I'll do is I'll put this onto whatever, a VHS or whatever, so you can look at it and have
Okay.
that